Okay, this video is the Factor Completely Day 2 worksheet. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8. And then I want you to do the remaining odd problems. Make sure, like always, that you write your work on a piece of paper, put your name at the top, take a picture of it, and upload it to get your grade. All right, let's get started. Okay, on these we're factoring completely. Well, the first step on this is the difference of two perfect squares, and we've talked about that before. But it's going to involve another step. So my first step is my two sets of parentheses. We have a 1 and a 1. And then over here, this is a perfect square. So you have a 9 and a 9. And then you have x to the fourth, so you'd have x squared and x squared. And then you'd have a plus and a minus. Okay, now that can't be factored any further because it's two perfect squares, but it's a plus sign. So it's not the difference of two perfect squares. This, however, is still the difference of two perfect squares. So we can factor this section right here a little bit further. So over here on the answer, the final answer, I'm going to write the first part. And then here I'm going to have two sets of parentheses. I'll have my 1 and my 1 to get 1. And then 3x and 3x. And one will be plus and one will be minus. And that's factored fully. So that's your final answer. Okay, here. Now this is something we haven't done before. There's no greatest common factor. But here we have a cube, and on this one it's called the sum or difference of two perfect cubes, because that's a perfect cube, and 27 is a perfect cube because 3 cubed is 27. Okay, so we use an acronym called SOAP to remember what our signs are. The S stands for same. The O stands for opposite. And these two go together for always positive. Okay, so when we start out, we put a small set of parentheses and we put a larger set of parentheses. Okay, the cube root of x cubed is x. The cube root of 27 is 3. Okay, in this position right here, we square this, whatever's here. So x squared is x squared. In this position, we square this. So 3 times 3, or 3 squared, is 9. There's a middle term here, and it is this times this. X times 3 would be 3x. Okay, then this is where we use the SOAP. This is how we determine what signs we put here. Okay, same means that if this is plus, this is plus. It's the same sign. Okay, opposite of plus is minus. And then this last one is always positive. So that's actually your final answer right there. I'm not going to rewrite it. Okay, now this one we have a cube, but we also have an x here. So here we factor out the greatest common factor. The biggest number that will go into 28 and also into 7 is 7. We can also factor out an x because they both have at least one x. And then what we have left, 28 divided by 7 is 4. We took out one x, so now we have x squared. And over here, we took out the 7x, so we still have to have something there. So this would be minus 1, because 7x divided by 7x is 1, and it was a negative. Okay, now this right here is the difference of two perfect squares again. So my final answer here, I'd have my 7x from here, my two sets of parentheses. Okay, so this would be 2x and 2x, and this would be 1 and 1, and one would be plus, and one would be minus, and that's your final answer. Okay, this one, we've done these before, but I'm going to go ahead and do one with you again to remind you. This one, if you look at it, the leading coefficient is greater than 1, and you can't factor anything out, so we're going to have to use the bottoms up method. So the first step is to multiply this by this and rewrite it. So that's x squared plus x minus 12. Then I'm going to factor that one as usual. So this is x and x. Two numbers that multiply to give me negative 12, that add to give me 1. Okay, so that's going to be positive 4 and negative 3. Because 4 times negative 3 is negative 12, and 4 minus 3 is positive 1. Okay, then we have to undo what we did. So since we multiplied by 4, now we're going to divide by 4, whatever that is. So I'm going to divide by 4 on both of these. Then I reduce it if possible. So this would reduce to x plus 1. And this over here will not reduce, so the bottom goes up. This 4 goes up. So this would be 4x minus 3. Okay? All right, then I'm going to do number 8 with you. Okay, number 8, the first thing I would do is factor out a 2. And that gives me x to the 4th minus 16. Now, this is the difference of two perfect squares. So I would have 2, and I'd have x squared plus 4 minus 4. Okay, then we still have another difference of squares right there, because x squared and 4 is also a perfect square, and it's a difference. So my final answer would be 2, and then I'd have this x squared plus 4, and then here we'd need 2 sets of parentheses, and we'd have x plus 2 and x minus 2. Okay, that's your final answer. So let me remind you, I need you to do the remaining odds that I haven't done, and make sure your name's at the top of your paper and upload me a picture. Thanks.